Hello and welcome to Clash Counseling. I'm Jared Sutliff, your host, and today we've got Jacob Hansen giving us a great story about some of the issues that he's had on a previous project. Jacob, thanks for joining us here today, and I'd like for you to give a quick 30-second introduction of who you are, and then we can jump right into the story.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Jacob Hansen, owner and consultant with Hansen Consulting Group. We operate predominantly in the BIM management space. You facilitate between contractors and BIM companies. We're really looking just be a partner. That's why I'm here. I like building relationships, like being able to find out better ways to do things with great people.
Hit me here. Got this story that you talked about in the initial interview where sounds like nothing short of an epic pain in the ass, and I know a lot of our listeners can relate.
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes down to a lot of these struggles that we deal with specifically in the BIM space, right? We got onto this one project, really excited about the project as a whole. It was a new customer, There was a BIM PEP in place, and they had a deliverable, that objective. And very quickly we get in there and realize like, oh, well, this objective is very clearly defined. Nobody actually knows who's in charge. We get into these topics of clash detection, coordination, and it all of a sudden just started to sort of unravel.
Where's the disconnect then? Because you're excited to get into this project with this new client, and then you actually get in there and it seems like complete disarray.
It actually was a misunderstanding of the deliverable itself. The term BIM was used very broadly on this project to say, hey, you know what, we're going to create a BIM model and we're going to build off of this model. Perfect world, right? That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Oh, what we're actually doing is we're just doing space management. Oh, we're just trying to get these drawings updated to a degree. And we're not going to involve the contractors. We just want to have a really great BIM model. We got on in October through January. They published the schedule for BIM coordination for over 2 million square feet of space. We're going to sign off Area A in 2 weeks. We're going to sign off Area B in 4 weeks. And all of a sudden you had 2 million square foot of space and countless number of stakeholders involved. And like, okay, yep, we're all going to agree. We're going to be clash free. We're going to be coordinated. MEP fit out. It's going to start beginning of the year. It's going to be great. Everybody's going to be happy. We get to that point and everybody's like, well, nothing's done. Nobody pushed back on it. Nobody argued it. I did my best to. This continued to escalate. We passed that January date, of course. We went another 8 months before the coordination was quote unquote finished. And one of the challenges about halfway through that period of time was working with the general contractor. They came in and say, okay, why are we not done? Why is it taking so long to resolve them? Mind you, we've been in this 6-7 months, find out that we only have like 60% of the model populated. Contractors are onboarding, design teams are onboarding, and so you get all these scopes added. And so every time that something's added, it creates more clashes, more content. But there was no way for anybody up front to actually like hold somebody's hand and say, hey, you need to have everybody on board. If you're modeling at LOD 350, LOD 400, you can't have 50% of the people on there and expect it to go well.
So this was a result of the GC not understanding what they wanted the BIM scope to be. And you said, so this was 12 months ago?
No, this was a few years ago.
Okay. But still, a few years ago, it's not like it was 18 years ago.
Correct. No, it's modern. How often do you hear an owner say, hey, you know what, we're going to require BIM? Well, what does that mean? What is it that actually you want? Oftentimes my partner, Colton Browning, he's like, if you're not doing this with clear intentions and directions for an objective deliverable, you're just doing arts and crafts.
Yeah.
And that's what it turns into. And you're spending a lot of money doing it. If we're going to do an LOD 350 or farther 400 model, everybody has to be on board. And the owner didn't know that. In my opinion, the GC didn't do a good enough job explaining to the owner, like, hey, there has to be a level of accountability and communication if we're going to do this. And that didn't happen.
And the expectations too. Okay, if you're only doing it for space management and rough coordination, okay, fine. But at the same point, then why are you doing it? But if nobody is managing the installation and who's going in when, it's a waste of time and effort.
Correct. And that's where it even made it more challenging. In this case, the contractors actually were fully invested, committed to it, but they didn't have the resources and the backing of the owner of the GC to make sure that everybody was accountable to that process.
Why did this fail in your experience, in your opinion? Did the GC know that they were in trouble, or were they just blissfully unaware?
It's when it started to back up to like construction schedule and say, hey, we're supposed to be starting. Why are we not starting? Why don't we have shop drawings? Why do we not have crews available or material available, et cetera, et cetera? And then that's when they started to kind of push more of the KPIs and started to realize like, hey, we've been driving this effort, but we've been doing it poorly. We don't have everybody involved. They came to, but then that was a moment of transition where it's like, okay, we have to make a decision now. We've already blown 8 months of the project schedule.
Was there any other issues that caused a lot of this? And one of the things that we had talked about, you could only work on this if you were on site.
That's correct. That was a huge factor. The owner had some strict policies. What we could do, we could take a lot of the construction documents and we could work on those on site, remote, when you're in your own contractor trailer.
Okay.
From a federated BIM model, probably for the first 6 months, they have a BIM room. And in that room, there was at one point maybe anywhere from 26 to 40 computers. And those were the only computers on the entire site that you could access a federated BIM model. In order to coordinate with other trades and to see other content, you had to be in that designated BIM room on an owner-provided computer. Think about the scale of that project, how many people would be involved if somebody just wanted to go and not just modelers, right? It's not just your modeling teams, it's your BIM coordinators, it could be your GFs, it could be your supers. Everybody had to go to that room. And the problem that was further exaggerated here was those computers were also assigned to individuals responsible for design. They were assigned to specific individuals. So you'd have to go in there and say, hey, Joe or Mike or Luis, can I sit down with you and can we look at this for a minute? It was,
my gosh,
so they disconnected. Eventually they opened a separate contractor BIM room and they put about 6 computers in there that were free game.
Okay, 6, great.
So they'd sit somebody in there at 5 o'clock in the morning to lock down a computer and they'd sit there and they'd coordinate all day. So again, you got this bottleneck of coordination. I don't know how we made it work. We made it work for the best situation that we could, but it was extremely frustrating. And it's nothing I would ever want to go through again. That's for sure.
No, I don't blame you. So in general, was this more of a people problem? Was it more of a process problem? Or is there something that is more the reason why it failed so spectacular?
It was all of it. Every part of it was to blame, and nobody specifically. We all took a part in contributing to this broken system. You have to define what it is, the objective or the goal of this BIM model is from the beginning. You didn't create the right process and the structure for the team and the project to succeed. You get to the end, and what do you think you're going to get? It's not going to all of a sudden snap your fingers. Here we go, magic's done. We got arts and craft that actually works. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you don't have time to do it right the first time, but you've got all the time in the world to fix it later.
Apparently, and all the money. And that's my question. I'm sure you had an opinion. I'm very strong about this is if we're not doing it right, why do it at all?
Well, and same goes for you're doing BIM only for spatial coordination, but you're not using it for installation drawings. You're not using it for the field team to understand the sequence of installation. You're not using it for prefabrication. You're not using it for downstream facility management. Does every BIM model have to be incorporated into FM? No. But if you're not using it to get anything out of it other than to do it, that's such an incredible waste of resources.
You know what happened primarily on that project in terms of construction? Most of it was stick built anyways.
We smashed what went wrong. We beat the dead horse of why it failed on many fronts in many factors. So now prescription time, right?
This is my favorite part. Yeah.
What was no, I'm putting my foot down because this is bullshit. This is not working. This is not going to work. This is a waste of time and effort for everybody here.
I wish I had an hour to explain this and walk you through the process. I could be all crazy and have spider webs everywhere. Show you, we did this, we did that.
Yeah. I mean, we have an hour, but the podcast. So can you distill it down into 120 seconds or something like that?
I'll do my best, high level. Because I'd gone through this, actually I transitioned with a couple different contractors through this period of time as the project continued to ramp up. Had the awesome experience to work with some incredible subcontractors, some incredible BIM partners that were associated with these contractors and mean the world to me. They're awesome. Would love to do work with them for the rest of my life. They're that good. And what was critical for us is we understood, even though we couldn't do it at the project level, did not mean we couldn't take our standards and principles and apply it at the contractor level. We were very clear, and that was specifically my responsibility, was get in there as an integrator in 2 capacities. One, between a design firm and the contractor, and I made it very clear as to this is what the design needs to be before the contractor will touch it. You cannot keep working on this because they say, oh, we're done and we're signed off. And then they changed it 10 more
Yeah.
times, Jared. So I put an
Yeah.
end to that. I said, you've got to stop. I don't care if the schedule delays. I mean, we did,
Right.
but we started this process and we held them accountable to it. It got to the point where the designer, they had a lot more integrity to what their work they were doing. We turned it over to the contractor. They were confident in it. They turned it into an LOD 400. They had all their own family properties and everything to it. Could do all their shop drawings, their spools. And then the second part is we get to the field. And we were very confident in our modeling and the detail of our construction. We knew it would fit if everybody else followed the model. So if we said if nobody else follows, we're right. And 99% of the time when there was an issue, whether it was another trade hanging supports or an MEP system out of place, we said, you're the problem, you need to move. And you know what? Because the owner originally said, yeah, we're going to use BIM, we're going to follow it, the owner was obligated to say, yeah, you're right, they need to move, you're in per model.
Sure.
So we used reality capture. We had a team of BIM coordinators that did an incredible job. And the contractor that did day and day, it might have been a little slow up front, but by the time the project ended, they had everything going in the way that it was BIMmed and had the intent of.
Good.
They did it according to schedule. They eliminated rework and they eliminated run-on costs. It was huge. It was a huge win for us as a small group to say we can do this and we can show to the rest of the project that this can be done. Everybody just needs to get on board with it.
What part of the project were you guys like, fuck this. This is enough of this bullshit. We're taking this over. This is what needs to happen. And then how did the GC react to that?
That was about 9 months into it where we finally started to get some of those credible design models and we were holding their feet to the fire and say, you've got to stand by this. So from that period on, then we took a little bit of time to really develop those LOD 400s and quite a process to get that done. But as we go a little further downstream and we start looking at the coordination with the general contractor and we're getting their buy-in in the field, they likewise had to own it. They had to stand by it. They had to say, yeah, you're right. This was the plan originally on this project. It is a requirement. The GC couldn't do anything other than say, yes, glad you guys are doing it. Keep doing it. And there were so many issues and problems that we resolved with them because we were aligned in that capacity. If we had not been doing it right, if we just taken a design model and said, oh, screw it, we're going to wing it, we're going to go install where we want, and who cares?
Right,
it's just BIM. BIM never works. We're not going to use it.
Right.
We're gonna build it the way we think it needs to be built. Screw those guys. We didn't do that.
Which we see on a lot of projects because, oh, you're taking my job away from us. No, BIM is a tool first and foremost. You're not going to use a hammer to bend conduit or cut conduit, right? So obviously it doesn't work if you're using the tool wrong. So it's great to hear that you guys worked with the other subcontractors and the GC and the field team to turn the project around. What is a process or a tool that you will never, ever skip again after this experience?
That's my whole initiative right now as an individual and as a business, and I'm not trying to do a sales pitch here. Well, you said it.
Yes, you are.
Hey, I am, but BIM is a tool, right? I'm glad you said that. BIM in itself is worthless unless you have the right people to using it and knowing how to use it. Same thing like you say, if you pick up a hammer, a framer is going to use a hammer different than a plumber or than my wife who's going to try to hang a picture. They're going to use that tool a little bit different. Are they using it wrong? No. But what we need to do as an industry is recognize that, acknowledge it. And here's the difference is you have a contractor who's really good at building. You have a BIM company who's really good at BIM. Contractor sucks at BIM and we don't want them to do it. A BIM company is not going to be a builder, and that's okay. Use the tool as an integrator. And that's for me is where I want to stand in the middle and be like, hey, I understand building to a degree. I understand BIM to a degree. I'm not an expert in one or the other, but what I can tell you is I can tell you how to communicate and I can help you identify a deliverable and get everybody on the same page. Explain what it is as an objective. What is it you want? Do you want an LOD 400? Do you want a 350, a 300? I mean, do you just want plans?
Right. What's the ultimate end goal that we're trying to do with this?
Not everybody needs to do everything the same way. Not everybody needs to go buy a $100,000 scanner. Not everybody needs to go buy all these crazy softwares. It's awesome. I love the technology in the space, but sometimes it becomes a distraction.
We've talked about the prescription quite a bit here. With your experience, if you could drop a memo on the desk of every GC in America, what would it say in a couple of sentences?
Very good question. Something that's really been on my mind a lot. It would be get better at communicating. And using and communicating the tools and the processes, and most importantly, the people that are available to you. Understand what capacity you have as a firm, as an individual, to reach the objective you want. and talk about it.
Mhm.
Be open about it.
All right. Well, that was like 4 or 5 sentences. So,
Sorry, I know. I could get on a soapbox, and I probably will, and
yeah.
will continue to do that. But just get better. Get better at being a
Yeah.
better builder and a better BIM. That's it.
One of the things that we love asking our guests is, what is a tool or plug-in for Revit, Navisworks, BIM that you can't live without?
Jared, there's a lot of them, and I'm not going to give you an answer. The
Come
best,
on.
I'm not. The best thing you can do, I'm a coordination guy, is pick
Yep.
up the phone, call your superintendent, call your GFs, call the PMs,
Man.
and get them involved with the issues that you're having. It's not about,
Okay.
for me, clash detection is a percentage of it. It's whatever. It's get
Right.
these guys involved in what they're going to be installing in a couple months.
Okay. That is an amazing take. At least for me, I hadn't thought of it that way. I was always thinking like DeRoots or PyRevit, or for the actual modeling, clash detection, coordination side. That is an excellent takeaway, because you can develop that rapport. You're not just text on screen to somebody. You're learning from them. They're learning from you. What better way to make BIM better? That's fantastic. I appreciate that.
My favorite part of that is thinking about the supers, the GFs, those guys involved in it. They don't care what tools you're using. They care what you're getting out of it. And there's
Right.
no better way to get that objective and get to that point of, you see eye to eye on what the deliverable is than having them be a part of that process. They'll trust you to get it done the way that whatever you want, way you want to do it, as long as they know that they're going to get what they want.
Another fun question that we like to ask is, you're coming out for the WWE, walking down the aisle. What's the song that would really pump you up and everybody be, oh shit, Jacob's here. Oh, shit's getting done now.
It may not be a pump up song, but Leonard Skinner's Simple Man. You got it.
Well, there you
Just
go.
bring the roots back home, understand who you are, that you got something you love and you need to get it done.
Yep.
It's simple, it's a pretty calm song, but we come in, we're focused, get it done.
You can really make a big impact with a little voice. The last thing that I'm going to do here is, I want to know what your mic drop moment is.
Find yourself and your purpose. It may be very loose and probably too emotional for so many people in this industry, but you've got to know what it is you're doing, who you are, and how you're getting it done. Buy into it. If we want to continue to improve this industry and the way that we're doing it, get involved. Be accountable to it.
I love it. I love it. That is fantastic. Jacob Hansen, really, really appreciate you being on the Clash Counseling podcast here today, and look forward to talking with you in the future.
It's been a pleasure.